Hi, this is Deepak, and you are watching Simcoe Community Media. With a mix of hope and hesitation, Barrie City Council approved a motion supporting a community infrastructure and housing accelerator application at the site near Barrie's former fairgrounds. The matter was discussed during the February 28th General Committee meeting at the City Hall. The province will take the final decision regarding the 55.3-acre site hosting more than 4,000 proposed residences. Ward 4 Councillor Jim Harris, who represents the area, proposed several amendments that were approved by the Council. The amendments aimed at gaining direction from various ministries and addressing the development's complexities.
This is a very complex site, and there's certain issues that cross the ministries, and this really highlights for people like really what's behind this is we have these challenges, this site that is approaching 20 plus years of being inactive.
Mayor Alex Nuttall supported the request for provincial direction and intervention on issues related to park and school development on the fairgrounds.
Do they get two separate school sites? Do they co-locate? Do they go in a building? And we don't have the power. Like, you can come with that application, looking to the developer. We don't even have the power to supersede the school board. Only the province does. So, like, whether this was a CHIA application or anything else, I think we'd be writing to, this is my opinion, we were writing to the province to say, hey, can you help us figure this out? Because it's been 20 years, and if it's standard operating procedure, it's going to be another 30.
During the meeting, the council also praised the city's water department for its work.
I think it's quite unheard of going through that and actually having no areas for improvement. And so I think that deserves a little bit of a public awareness that not only did you, it's hard enough just to become accredited and then maintain it, but to do it and be reaccredited up until 2025 with no areas for improvement. So I think that it's commendable.
In another matter, Councillor Gary Harvey proposed an amendment to the sign bylaw for Zelinka Priamo on behalf of Barrie Lifestyles Inc. This amendment aims to clarify the use of the sign currently featuring spaces for Farm Boy and TD, among others. The amendment, providing clear guidance for both the property owner and city staff, was passed unanimously by the council. You can refer to the timestamp to jump to the relevant section of the video. Following is the video of the meeting.
Councillor Harris.
Thank you. I'd like to put the item on the floor as printed. I have a few amendments, and I can speak to them. So the first amendment...
sorry, Councillor Harris, just before you do, for members of the public, because I see a few here on this subject, and I just want to make sure that they know this is what's coming on and are paying attention. This is with regards to the Fairgrounds 175, 199, ESSA, and 50 Wood Street. Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I was eager. The first amendment is I'd like to add the following words to the beginning of paragraph 2. And it is that in order to gain direction from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Transportation, and then goes into the extra explanation. I can speak to that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I think we've talked about this certainly at the consultations, that this is a very complex site, and there's certain issues that cross the ministries, and this really highlights for people like really what's behind this is we have these challenges, this site that is approaching 20 plus years of being inactive, that we often hear that is a gateway site that should be developed and is landing on us, although we don't develop, to create some action. So the ministries need to have those conversations, and this is the rationale really strongly behind why the developer and why we're considering the CHIA.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any questions or comments with regards to the amendment? Councillor Priamo.
I guess I'm not entirely sure whether whether it's to this amendment or to the whole process. I guess my sympathy goes to the proponent on this one. We have in September we approved a CHIA for a site for a seniors home. And to everyone's frustration, and that's a fairly simple situation there, to everybody's frustration, that is still sitting on a minister's desk 6 months later, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. As Councillor Harris said, this is a gateway property. It's very complex, and I'm really concerned that the province, once we send this to the province, is just going to sit on it, and it's just nothing's going to happen. And I don't want to be predictive, but I kind of think that the proponent is going to come back to us at some point and say, sorry, we got into this CIHA thing. Would you kindly start processing our application here in Barrie? And my view is that that's what we should be doing, because I think we're in a much better position to try to solve some of the problems that are in place on this property, and we'll do it, I think, much faster than somebody in Toronto who doesn't deal with these things on a day-to-day basis. So those are my comments for now. I'm happy to listen, but I think that I'm reluctant to send it down there just for that reason.
So just on the amendment, which is asking for the provincial input on from education, transportation, and housing, I think.
Yeah, it's basically just, it's words, adding wording to explain the direction, which is to add that in order to gain direction from the Ministry of Affairs and Housing, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Transportation. So we're trying to get direction, right? This is just cleaning up the language.
Thank you. So I think one of the concerns that we have on this site is it a park? Is it a school? Do they get two separate school sites? Do they co-locate? Do they go in a building? And we don't have the power. Like, you can come with that application, looking to the developer. We don't even have the power to supersede the school board. Only the province does. So, like, whether this was a CHIA application or anything else, I think we'd be writing to, this is my opinion, we were writing to the province to say, hey, can you help us figure this out? Because it's been 20 years, and if it's standard operating procedure, it's going to be another 30. And we need them to come in and give us some direction on how do they see their schools built? Do they see them locating? And the other piece is, like, there's massive investment happening at the Essa Road 400. And did they anticipate this? Did they consider what potentially could be going on here? And is there any feedback on number of vehicles, heights, distances, all those types of things from MTO? So I certainly support getting that direction back. Even if it wasn't a CHIA process, we'd have to find another process to figure it out, because it's just not within our purview. We don't have the levers for this stuff. So I hear you. I'm not going to say that the CHIA is going to be successful, Councillor Ritma, but I think we got to at least try to get that direction back, at least try to get the information out of the province so we can make informed decisions on it. Any other comments or questions on the amendment to the main motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. You have another there?
Yeah, thank you. I have several. And again, this is, again, not to speak to the full motion, but these are items to improve the wording that is in front of us. So this is to replace paragraph 2B with the following. B, that if neither the Simcoe County District School Board and the Simcoe-Muskoka Catholic District School Board exercise the option to construct a school in this development, the land be conveyed at no cost to the city for the purpose of parkland as part of the parkland dedication requirements. And I can speak to that.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Nuttall. Again, this is just improving the wording. I think one thing that is different and positive about this most recent iteration of a proposal for this site is that the residents of Campbell Avenue will be backing onto either a school, should the schools be able to come to agreement, or a park. And I think for those of us around the table who, and many of us do, we probably all do have residents that back onto parks and schools, I don't get complaints about that. That's a very desirable feature. So in all of the opportunities that we've been able to make impact on developments, I think this is I know this is a very positive item for the residents, such that this gets built, whatever happens, but knowing that it's a park or a school is quite favorable.
Any questions or comments with regards to the Second Amendment? Be careful how you say Second Amendment. All those in favor? It carries.
Thank you, Nuttall, and third of four, so almost there. To add the following paragraphs after B and add a C, which would be that the province be requested to send the plans back to the city for draft plan and site plan approval. So that's the following. So I can speak to that.
Okay, go ahead.
So again, I think some of the concern is the feeling that the city is losing its ability to have impact on this site, and having this language in there provides that information for residents that the city will be involved in site plan approval and the draft plans. So they just want to make that clear in the CIHA. So I can speak.
Thank you, Councillor. Any questions or comments with regards to the inclusion of site plan, well, draft plan and then site plan on this site? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. And Councillor Harris.
Thank you. And then the final one, that staff investigate the use of the rail spur extending from the Allendale Transit Hub to the subject property for the use by Barrie Transit for public transit purposes. And I can speak to that too. And this one, before I speak to it, I want to give a thank you to Councillor Morales. Councillor Morales, you were the first to bring this to my attention. I know you've spoken to others, so thank you for that creativity and vision to see what we could do with this current asset. And I think, again, with some of the challenges that have been presented in the, what will be discussion, connecting this should it be able to happen, connecting rail to be able to make it really easy to get to the new, as residents know, the Allendale Transit Hub is currently looking like a construction site, so we're finally going to get that new transit hub. And so being able to really easily, efficiently, and effectively get from this site to that site would be really exciting, and then maybe create some new interesting potential opportunities for moving people around our city. And I know, again, those of you who are here, and I see some of you who were here that night, Mr. Craig Bush talked about other ideas for moving people around our city, but this is an interesting opportunity, and I think that it would be very wise to pursue this and see what it can bring.
Wonderful. Any comments or questions with regards to the rail line there going to the site? Councillor Morales.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Just very quickly, thank you, Councillor Harris, for the kind words. I wouldn't have thought to notice this if it wasn't for Ms. James Reed, and I don't think she knows how she helped on this one. Ms. James Reed, you forward us those Ontario press releases from the government. Legislation they're thinking of doing, they are doing, they did overnight, and on this one, they're thinking of doing it. I wish this one had been done. They're going to introduce legislation that allows some municipalities to essentially charge kind of like a BIA fee. That's the best way to explain it. In regions where transit-oriented density makes sense, to build new GO stations or to repair existing ones and bring them to capacity. That's not the case here, but it got the gears turning about an existing track. I brought it to your attention, and you're like, really? And then the next time I spoke to you again, you're like, okay, it makes a little more sense than last time. And so I know, Councillor Harris, you've been working hard on this file. And all I did was just kind of notice it. What I do want to give a shout out to, and Ms. McAlpin, I had a 2-hour discussion with you about this idea, plus a couple other related. And the thing is, it's because of the decisions of previous councils and the decisions of staff that Ms. McAlpin probably knows their names, that we still have this train rail line that goes all the way to Collingwood, the one that comes up for Bradford. If it weren't for those people, we wouldn't have an opportunity to even have the discussion. So they're the ones that really get the real credit. And Ms. McAlpin, because she put up with a 2-hour phone call from me back in December. So.
Councillor Morales, I don't want to scare you, but it was actually Jack Garner that stepped in when Joe Tascona was the MPP there, and they were able to wrestle it from the province. I know how much of a fan he was of yours and mine, but he did a very, very good
Credit
thing
where
there.
credit's due, right? So,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, the other thing I just want, sorry, any other questions or comments on this? The other thing I want to highlight there is, I don't think this is about one site. And I don't know that it's about more than one rail spur, but I don't think it's about one site. If you look at this rail spur that goes out to the old fairgrounds and then goes down to the GO train station, the previous council approved 2 20-something story buildings, I think, at the corner of Jacobs Terrace and Essa Road, or no, Innisfil Street, sorry. And we approved this council beside that, I think, Ms. Banfield, was it 24 and 27 or something like that? Yeah. And so I don't think it's about one site. I think we're seeing these along the rail spur, these properties being turned into very large villages, quite frankly, with the amount of people that are going to be in and out of them. And if we're going to take a serious look on how to deal with the traffic on Essa Road and how to deal with the new traffic over, let's say, Bradford Street, Innisfil Street, Tiffin Street, this is one other option that will hopefully have a positive impact on that, and I think create some really good opportunities for these approved buildings to have a great business case to be built, which is what we're always trying to do. Is, I think earlier I was watching a video that we're going to put on later, 14,600 some odd approved units that need to be built, and hopefully small things like this can have a long-term impact, but in the short term get the business case in place to be able to be built. So I'm a huge supporter of this. Thank you, Councillor Harris, Councillor Morales, Craig Bush, who brings very, very large, costly ideas, and maybe we can take a little tiny bite of one of them and see what happens, and get the data going forward. So really, really excited. All those in favor? It's approved. So on the main motion, are there any comments or questions? Sorry, seeing none, all those in favor? And it carries. So we're now going to move on. Is that my last item there, Deputy Mayor? I think you have one more here. Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Harvey. So Deputy Mayor, it's INF 001-24.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll put the motion on the floor as printed. This is basically more of a comment. Actually, I was waiting for Councillor Jim Harris to do this in the water report, but it's a 77-page report, and it's one of those things that normally gets approved on consent. But if you read the report, we've got some staff members in our water department that are rock stars and doing things that are, improving the system. And, you get a lot of residents that complain. The water rates in Barrie are expensive, but it's an expensive service. And our wastewater rates, it's because of, Lake Simcoe and watching the pollution and all that stuff. So I actually just held this item to praise the staff, through Michael Proust to Bala and down the line. But yeah, if you read the report, we are doing great things in the water department, very advanced, and some people who really are looking forward thinking in the department. So I just wanted to say that, and that's why I held the report.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well said. Councillor Harvey?
I wasn't going to say anything, but actually the one thing that really caught my eye in that report was the amount of training hours. 4,600 training hours, like that's more than 2 people working full-time a year. Like, that's a ton of training to keep the staff. Actually, that's to keep us out of trouble too, because we don't want to be the next Walkerton, and like obviously we've had to go through our own training, but yeah, no, it's great to see that the amount of money and training goes into keeping our drinking water top-notch and as safe as possible. And when you look at the numbers being emitted, they're so minuscule. It's really good to see.
Thank you. Councillor Corser, then Councillor Kungle.
I just, again, ditto. And I was pleasantly surprised about how much training actually council receives when we first get elected, and the weight of the responsibility when it comes to drinking water. And it's something that is absolutely taken for granted. You just turn on the shower or turn on the tap and it's there. But the amount of the complaints that I get about water being this or that, and I love when I receive something so I can actually start bragging about our water in our city and the work and the forward thinking and the science and everything that goes into it. And it's just incredible. So yeah, staff's awesome. Yep.
Councillor Kungle.
Thank you. Well, and so thank you to Deputy Robert Thompson for holding it. Because there's a piece there I did want to make a point of, and it's referenced in it, but not only, I mean, just they had a stellar outcome, but for anyone that's been through accreditation, I think it's quite unheard of going through that and actually having no areas for improvement. And so I think that deserves a little bit of a public awareness that not only did you, it's hard enough just to, one, become accredited and then maintain it, but to do it and be reaccredited up until 2025 with no areas for improvement. So I think that it's commendable.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Harris?
I just want to say thank you to Deputy Mayor Thompson for holding it. I'd kind of done it traditionally the last couple of years, again, to recognize and honor the work that staff do to make sure water is safe. And it's one of those things, it's the one thing as councillors that is our number one risk. So thank you on behalf of everybody on council for taking care of us and our water.
Last year, you gave him a free water jug. That's why he held it. You forgot the gift this year.
CAO Prowse.
Mayor Nuttall and members of committee, thank you very much for the commentary and the positive feedback. And while Bala and I are very happy to absorb all of the comments and compliments, and none of the accountability, by the way. Sherry Dearmert, who's sitting in the second row, leads that fine team, and they're a very proud team who do incredible work for the city. So I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize her sitting here tonight.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, CEO Prowse. Any other comments or questions? I'm going to go out on a limb here and quote Adam Sandler. That's some high-quality H2O. All right. All those in favor of the report? That's approved. That could have got me in trouble. He could say some things that might actually get me in trouble, Councillor Harvey. It's over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll put the item on the floor as printed, and I do have a amendment. To replace Section 1 with the following wording. That notwithstanding Section 11.1.11.0.0 of Sign Bylaw 2018-029, the exemption request from Zelinka Priamo Ltd. on behalf of Barrie Lifestyles Inc. and Barrie Lifestyle 2 Inc. to permit third-party sign panels for goods, products, services, and facilities provided at 406 and 436 Brine Drive to be contained on existing ground signs at the property municipally known as 60 Mapleview Drive West, Barrie, be approved, given that the Brine Drive properties are located immediately adjacent to 60 Mapleview Drive West on the same commercial block, function as a single commercial entity with shared access points between the properties, and the three properties are under the same ownership.
Thank you, Councillor. Would you like to speak to it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, after once I had an opportunity to review the staff report, actually the applicant reached out to me in regards to it just to get some clarity, and it was through that discussion that sparked this amendment, and it was just basically to actually provide even a little more clarity to what this new sign can be used for, because right now the sign in question has a huge piece of it that says Farm Boy on it. There's a TD sign on it, and then there's a lot of empty white spaces on it. So the landowner's intent was not to, because I know one of the previous signs also advertised the previous store Bad Boy, which is quite a distance back on Brine Drive, and that was not this new owner's intent. So it didn't specify all 3 addresses in the initial motion. So this just provides much more clarity, so that way the owner knows exactly what they can do, and also it provides direction to our staff too, so that way there's no inconsistencies as to what can and can't go on this 3rd sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries as amended. So I guess I actually have to do a second vote, don't I? On the amended motion, all those in favor? It carries. There's no reports of officers' items for discussion or information items. We're at inquiries. Do any members of council have inquiries? Seeing none, we're going to go to announcements, and we're going to start, Madam Clerk, with, yeah, let's do video first.
Barrie is one of Canada's fastest growing municipalities and is expected to grow to 300,000 people by 2051. To manage growth and to ensure services and facilities keep pace, the city has a vision and strategy for growth management and is committed to doing our part to get more homes built faster. Barrie is working to grow its housing options, to increase housing supply, and to ensure we have sufficient infrastructure to support growth. In February 2023, the City of Barrie pledged the Ontario Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to facilitate the construction of 23,000 housing units by 2031. By the end of last year, the City had issued planning approvals for 14,641 housing units. We are well on our way to reaching our target as long as the market cooperates. Last year, the City had 1,809 housing starts, which exceeded the target of 1,687. We're finding ways to not just reduce the cost of housing, but how to afford living in Barrie and providing good quality of life for all residents. The City needs to assure we have options for people across the housing spectrum, for those looking for their first home, to seniors who may be looking to downsize. We're clearly leading the way for housing starts here in Barrie, and we are committed to creating more affordable housing to meet demand. Speaking of those 1,809 housing starts we had last year, we helped by making it easy for builders to apply and get building permits to get shovels in the ground. Here's Tricia Harrison, Building Project Coordinator at the City of Barrie, to explain.
As Mayor Nuttall said, we're committed to moving Barrie forward and getting new housing built. How do we do this here in Building Services? The City has an online tool called Apply. Apply stands for Applications, Permits, Licenses, and Inspections. Apply saves time, money, and paper for residents, businesses, and the city. For builders, we offer the Certified Model Program, which is a custom in-house solution that's unique to Barrie. It accommodates mass applications from builders constructing subdivisions, making it an efficient and streamlined process. Through our automated system Apply, we can let applicants know when their building permit application is accepted, if there are outstanding fees, and when the permit is issued. It's so easy, just click and check. In 2023, we saw the creation of 1,809 dwelling units or housing starts. A housing start means that construction has begun on a new house or multi-unit building, and a footing inspection has been scheduled. Barrie was named the overall best municipality across the GTA for getting new housing developments approved in both 2020 and in 2022. In addition, the city earned best-in-class scores for comprehensive, helpful information provided on barrie.ca, and we're always looking for more ways to improve and to continue to enhance our services. Safe, accessible, and sustainable buildings are critical to making Barrie a great city. Building permits and inspections help ensure building standards and life safety requirements are met while meeting our housing targets.
The City of Barrie is making it easy to get new homes built faster. We have prioritized and welcomed growth and development and invested in a robust infrastructure plan. We're supporting growth and the building of additional homes to achieve housing targets. Barrie's leading the way in finding housing solutions while also ensuring we have high-paying job opportunities for our residents. We're committed to building a city where everyone can find affordable homes to purchase or rent, alongside fulfilling careers with a focus on true community building for now and into the future. To view updates on Barrie's building and planning targets, and to learn more about how Barrie is leading the province in housing stats, visit barrie.ca/building progress.
Some great actors in that film. We will now go to announcements on this Wednesday, Pink Shirt Day, anti-bullying, and certainly growing kindness. So I'll turn it over to whoever has announcements. Councillor Reed, may I see your hand?
Yes. A week from today, March the 6th, we're having the Heritage Awards right here in this council chamber. And it's not only handing out awards, but it's also celebrating the heritage that we have here in the city of Barrie, and highlighting the people that are involved in it. So come one, come all, and we'll have a little celebration.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other announcements? Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned Pink Shirt Day, and so this gives me a chance to explain why I was sitting here roasting with a shirt over my dress shirt today. But it is obviously in respect for Pink Shirt Day, which I think many people know by now was started back in 2007 by two young grade 12 students in Nova Scotia, and David Shepard and Travis Price, to give them credit. And in our community, Cool FM and Rock 95 really carry the ball for our community. And so again, the last Wednesday of February is Pink Shirt Day, and it's meant to really reinforce an anti-bullying message, and particularly for schools. And so I'm sure those of you who have children would have hopefully seen some of that emphasized in your schools with your school-age kids. So thank you. There's some pink. I see some pink around. I apologize. I sent the notice this morning. I should have sent it before you had your chance to pick out your wardrobes today, folks. But thank you for those who were able to wear pink tonight. And thank you as well to Rock 95 and Cool FM. Each year they choose a charity, a children's-related service to provide funding for their pink shirts that they sell. And this year they chose New Path Youth and Family Services, who are a children's mental health organization that provides services in Barrie and Simcoe County. So thank you, Cool FM. Thank you, Rock 95. And thank you for allowing me to look like this tonight. Hopefully I look sharp in my pink shirt, and my red face from being overheated. But anyway, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. And one other thing, this week is, Friday is Hockey Helps the Homeless. Not sure if you had it on your agenda? I'll let you.
No, you go through it because you're going to be there and I'm not.
Okay. So, Mr. Kent was here earlier because Redwood was on the agenda, so he's not here. But this Friday, Hockey Helps the Homeless will be happening in Barrie at the Peggy Hill Centre. And it's not too late to donate to somebody you might know who is playing in the game. And the money goes to the Busby Centre and to Redwood. So two great charities that support those of in our community who are experiencing homelessness and hoping to move from being homeless to housed. So don't come at me. There'll be some great hockey players there, not me, but I will be there and lacing them up. I played in the very first one with you, Mayor Nuttall. We played in the same team, and I think we were quite good, actually.
I think actually you're still quite good, and I'm going to do everyone a favor and not show up.
Anyway, so thank you. So please, if you're able to support somebody from your community, your friends, family, co-worker, please support the Hockey Helps Homeless. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other announcements? Councillor Morales?
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Question before the announcement. Are you going to say something about the bus swap trade of the century, or is that on your list, or no? I'm happy to jump in. Yours was in car. I'm going to hype it up a little bit because they deserve it. Okay, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. To my general committee colleagues, if we pass this at council, again, things can change. The staff report we passed earlier regarding the Durham Regional Transit bus trade. Ms. James Reed, I'm critical with comments sometimes, but praise is due when praise is due. for the members of the public or the media, Durham Regional Transit had a fire. They lost a lot of buses. They're going to have to wait too long. It's affecting their service and their residents who need it the most. And they put a call out to say, hey, do any cities have buses you can sell us on the cheap, essentially, or that you're close to decommissioning? And we had 3 of those buses, 2013. I don't know the mileage, but 2013. And in return, we're getting 3 smaller buses, the mini buses, that are 2020s. It helps them because they get to fill the gap for residents who are truly affected and impacted by this. We win because, enough said, we're getting 2020 buses and they're getting 2013, and all the parties inspected it and are happy with the deal. Why am I highlighting this? Like the water example, but this one is so innovative. How many times did we all hear at the doors, we're tired of seeing big buses empty, why don't you get smaller ones and more efficient? We just did that. Like, that's huge, and that's innovation from our staff. There was no motion at council. It's them listening to what's going on with other municipalities, and I've been critical in the past of us staff not taking risks, not being innovative enough. So here is me owning my words, Ms. James Reed, and saying this is an incredible innovation piece, incredible risk-taking in a good way. And if it doesn't work out, you can blame me. But this is exactly what we need to see. And what I love is that Durham Regional Transit is benefiting from this. Otherwise, they would have had to wait over how many months here, an unacceptable amount of time as I'm trying to pull it up here. So kudos to staff on this. And this is, as the staff report says, it'll be very interesting to see, and I know these can be used everywhere, but for the transit on demand that's coming up in areas that are going to lose a bit of a bus route, and transit on demand, which is the future, and it's a tough conversation, these make a lot more sense on transit on demand. So we're ahead on this. So kudos, Ms. James Reed, if you want to give any closing comments or clarify anything I said.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Morales. Thank you for the shout out and to highlight that. We're certainly very excited about this, and we're excited that General Committee endorsed this. The other thing I would just note is that the resale value of a cutaway is much higher than of the big conventional bus, because there's more people who are interested in a cutaway, like an airport shuttle and those kind of things. So at the end of the day, the city's going to be much further ahead, and we do feel really great to be able to help our partner in Durham Regional Transit. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for recognizing that. Thank you again, Rebecca, and your team for that. After tonight, you need to go find a trade for a caboose for the railway. So let us know when that's done. I'm just kidding. So we've got a few announcements here. I'd like to proclaim March as Amyloidosis Awareness Month and It Starts Month. Barrie Transit riders now have a new way to purchase transit fares through Hotspot app or the city's website. You can visit barrie.ca/transit fares for further information. As the city launches the new waste collection contract on May 1st, eligible businesses and institutions must register to receive the current level of curbside water collection services by April 15th to avoid interruption in collection. For more information, please visit barrie.ca/curbside collection changes. Registration is now open for the city's spring recreation and culture programming and summer camps. To register, visit play.barrie.ca or in person at one of the Barrie community centers. I would encourage people to do that right away. Most of these services sell out very, 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 very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised. I see Ms. McAlpine nodding. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few already sold out and they opened this morning, was it?
Mayor Nuttall, I think Mr. Bell can provide further information, but we were half filled on camps and many of the programs by noon today when it opened. But Mr. Bell may have further updates since his amazing team has worked very hard to put together some exciting opportunities for the public, and clearly they're very interested in signing up.
Thank you, Don. Yes, Mr. Mayor, the programs launched yesterday morning, and by noon they were approximately 50% filled. To put that in perspective, out of the 7,800 spots we have available for summer camps, about 3,900 of them were already filled, and about 2,400 of the registered programming spots were already filled as well. The staff have done a great job of coming forward with the programs that have been successful in prior years, as well as developing a couple of newer programs this year, such as learning how to paddled in a canoe or kayak up at the Barrie Community Sports Complex, which has garnered a lot of interest.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I always thought it was really neat dropping off the kids to camp last year, and they had so much fun over at Tyndale Park. And it was, anyways, huge rave reviews from the kids. I might register myself this year, actually. The city's Recreation and Culture Services team has planned several key programming, rentals, and special event activities for the month of March, so please make sure you get the opportunity to check that out. I'm going to go to one other announcement before we can go into the circulation list. This is me just really trying to be transparent with council and the public. I'm going to be taking a leave for the better part of the next month, as I've got a surgery tomorrow morning, and requires me not to be in the office for that time period. If there's a smoking issue that comes to council, you'll probably see me here, but otherwise I'll either try to be doing it from home, or I will not be present at all. And so I apologize to all the events I won't be at, and it's not anything personal. It's I guess it is personal for me, but it's not anything personal against those events. And we've got an awesome council team that's going to be stepping up over the next month to be able to, probably 2 months to be honest with you, to be able to fill a lot of those community events. So thank you to members of council for that, and for stepping up and helping myself through that. We'll go to circulation list, February 14th, 2024. Okay, we'll go to the 21st. Councillor Hamilton.
Do I hold it, or can I just ask a question about one of the items?
You can ask a question about.
Perfect. Okay, so just section A, the staff memorandum concerning the key performance indicators. I just wanted to highlight this because I think it's really did a great job showcasing the work we've done, and really is aligned with our intent to be transparent with our progress, and how well we're performing and areas for improvement as well. But one thing I did want to point out, I know this is the first year of it, and it's going to be something that's provided every February. I found it a little bit difficult because there's no baseline data. So I'm assuming that year over year when we collect it, we'll be able to compare, but I also wonder if there was any interest or opportunity to obtain comparative data from other similar sized municipalities or provincial data that exist. So that was just maybe my one piece of feedback, and I'm happy to take it offline, but I did want to point it out. I think it's great the way it is. I think it's a fantastic start, but I do wonder where we go to from here, just from an interpretation point of view, in terms of how we can actually interpret the data to really look at where we are performing well and where perhaps we need to spend some attention on.
Thank you, Councillor. Appreciate the comments back. I'm sure the CAO has heard of that, and would you like to comment quickly? Or?
If I can, Mayor Nuttall, not to belabor the meeting, I certainly hear the feedback. I would just caution members of council that the challenge over the years that has gone on for many years, where we've attempted to introduce KPIs, is different municipalities provide different services under the same umbrella. So apples are not always apples. So it is challenging to grab KPIs from other municipalities and compare them to your existing municipality. Where they're available, we'll certainly provide that for members of council. In addition, some of them are universal, and you'll have that visibility. But I just want to sort of temper expectations that we have tried different variations, including services we've subscribed to, et cetera, et cetera. The basket of goods that are being measured invariably are almost always different. So it is challenging, but we will do our best to provide that information and transparency.
Thank you, if I may, and through you, thank you for that. I appreciate that answer. I think even going forward, identifying some targets based on the data that we identified this year, again, would help us sort of understand if we're meeting expectations, exceeding, or not meeting. So again, having some sort of comparison or targets, but recognizing some limitations that may exist. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. Any other items on Councillor Riepma?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first of all, I'm sure that I speak for everyone around this table that we wish you a very successful surgery and a return to full health very quickly.
Thanks, sir.
I just wanted to also comment about the KPIs that Councillor Hamilton raised. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, your little video, your acting job was really well done, and we produced a lot of houses. And but the thing that stuck out to me was the little zero that is in one of the columns when it says affordable units approved is 0 and affordable units registered 0. And I think that we are doing a great job in terms of producing housing, but I don't think we're at the same time producing affordable housing, obviously. Now, I think we can be really pleased that the county is going to be starting to build next year on Rose, and we will get 200 or 150 units through that process. But I think that I would really like to see how we could make that number bigger. And yeah, I'll just leave that with that. But I think that's a piece of our work that we have not got as much success in as we might like to have.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Rubin. I'm hearing if on this one, maybe if we can have it referred to finance and responsible governance, because I think there is some things to bite into. You know, you mentioned one, but really, if you're, if Councillor Hamilton's looking to set expectations on what it looks like, if you're looking for to delve into the conversation of where the misses are and where the big successes were, then let's do that at that committee, because I think that's the proper committee. So, Councillor Corsa, do you want to refer it there?
That's exactly what I was doing.
Perfect. Well, you've done it now. All those in favor? Carries. Any other items on the 21st of, sorry. Okay, and now we're going to move to the 28th of February. Any other? I'm going to start with Councillor Kungl and then go to Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Sorry, thank you. I have a couple, actually. I'll start with A3 240228, Barrie Transit. This report came through around, I think, quite an impressive stats on the 2 days free for seniors. I did want to highlight that, and I have a couple of questions for staff. But from what I'm seeing in that report, we're seeing within 6 months of this year, starting June 1st, I believe, to end of year, already surpassing by far, I think, 170,000 transit rides with seniors versus 140 perhaps in pre-pandemic. So really want to compliment the implementation of this, but also, I mean, it began with a conversation where we had some unknowns with respects to transit and the cost, but this council kind of bringing that forward. And I think some of it came from last term's Seniors Advisory Council that came forward then through Councillor Nagusi. So I'd love to know, although I don't think we have a lot of data. I know there was deliberate conversations around picking the Tuesday and Thursday of the week, but didn't know if this information would come back with a recommendation in the future around expanding it, and or if we're seeing ridership in particular areas or particular routes of the city.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kungl. Yeah, I guess the first question in terms of if it's going to come back with another recommendation, I think as staff we would look to council to provide that direction if they would want us to look at expanding it further, and we could definitely do that and provide some more information for consideration. And then in terms of specific routes around the city, I don't have that information tonight. My assumption would be it's probably across the board, but I can get some more information on that for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think, so I'll share a couple of thoughts. One, would love to know if there could be consideration for, if that report's not on the next Seniors and Accessibility Committee agenda in the future, would love to know the perceptions of this and how they feel about it, and if they've got a particular view on future steps
Council,
of
do you
this.
want to refer it to one of the...
I can.
Can we refer to the Seniors and Accessibility from here?
Yeah, unless it's already going. So may I table a motion to refer that circulation memo to the Seniors and Accessibility Committee at a future meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. It'd be great to kind of hear the dialogue around that table, and then one, for them to recognize the benefits of, I think, that vision forward. Two, at some point in time, wearing the more active transportation hat in conversations at committee, at that level, there's an awareness around, I believe, federal funding tied to if we can get our ridership up to a certain level. And maybe this is one piece that, depending on if that number continues to grow, might incentivize ways in which we communicate or offer transit to different subpopulations within the community. I know students have been an area of conversation. I've also had conversations with other individuals. I think individuals maybe from a sight impairment or hearing sight impairment also might be getting a reduced rate or free transit. I'm not sure, but would love if there is an opportune time when more data comes back, whether that's driven through committee or staff, to want to understand where else we could look at this, but how we can also see if it fits into how we drive transit rates that might tie to future funding. And that's been a topic of conversation, active transportation, and really wanting to see our transit on demand is still a piece that I know I'm communicating with seniors a lot about, that they're getting comfortable with maybe coming outside the norm of what routes they're used to versus what's new and available that can shorten their transit time with an expedited route. So my compliments to staff.
So all those in favor of referring this to the Seniors Advisory Committee? It carries.
My next one is, going through the list, A4240228. A5240228. That's the memorandum from Mr. Bell, and that was talked about in relation to the announcements through you, Mr. Mayor, but I did want to highlight that within that, I was wondering, Mr. Bell, if you could speak to, while we're seeing such fabulous rates already around individuals already registering, what kind of wait lists will we have? And are there different programs that we're seeing broader wait lists for? Would be a topic of interest at a future date. Further to that, I also didn't know how our programming relates to staff placements in the summer. I know we talked about that a little bit with budget, and during COVID it was more of a recruitment opportunity, but at this point in time, are we already starting that recruitment for summer positions to support camps and other pieces, or does that come later down the line?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kungl. The hiring for summer students is in progress right now. We need to do it far enough in advance to get them on board, properly train them, that kind of thing. We do have wait lists that have already started for some of the programs that are full, and staff do a phenomenal job of trying to address those wait lists by calling people as spots come up. They do often register for some programs and then wait list for their preferred times and days. And we did a great job during this past fall and winter of placing as many people as we could, and our goal is to do the same thing for summer camps.
That's great, thank you. And my also my applaud for the canoe and kayak 4-week introductory course. I think that's quite innovative. And I know we've got a lot of members around the community. I think that would be happy to hear that that's something happening. And I believe your Adults with Disabilities ROMP program, if I'm correct. So happy to promote wherever I can, but don't want to over-promote something that's already full. So if there's anything that you're looking for support on, I think further letting the public know where there's still availability, then happy to make sure that we're filling up all the spots possible. But thank you for the work you're doing. My last one is regarding the circulation list, A7240228, and that's a memo from Ms. Cook, our city clerk, around the advisory committees. I had a couple of questions. Thank you for the extensive review on that, and I wanted just to check to make sure. So specific to Communities on Bloom, which I chair, I think it's proposed, or will it be enacted, we're reducing from 2 hours for the meeting to 1.5 hours.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kungl, that's something we would be reviewing with the committee chairs on the timing of the meetings and trying to balance out those agendas. I'm aware that that committee sometimes needs extra time as you're leading up to the actual Communities in Bloom event, so sometimes the meetings may have to carry more than 1.5 hours, 2 hours, just depending on, I guess, how close you are to the event and how because you'll be focusing on planning and whatnot, so.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure how that was being communicated. I appreciate that. I don't have any concerns with that recommendation, and I appreciate your awareness of kind of we get busier as we get closer to that July judge's visit. The other one I wanted to ask about, and more of it was, I believe, coming back to the spirit catcher. And I didn't catch it, and I may have missed it or not understood it in the layout. But when I was reading the mandate that's still communicated about the spirit catcher, I didn't see it reflected that one of the awards that was passed by council that came through last term Seniors Advisory Committee was a spirit catcher award for a senior, not an adult and youth. It was in addition. I just wanted to confirm that that was in scope.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kungl, yes, it's still in scope. It was just missed on the list. I think we passed that motion just before COVID hit, and so it didn't get added to the mandate, but yes, I recall it, and yes, it's in scope.
Thank you for that. And then just for a point of note, while the mandate is accurate for the active transportation sustainability, sustainability is quite a broad conversation. So for those that are interested, and that was probably one of the most individuals I've ever seen apply to a committee that I had awareness to. We've had a lot of resident interest and engagement in kind of what's happening and what are we talking about. So at this point in time at the last meeting, we have identified kind of theming out aspects of sustainability because it is a broad basket into kind of 4 different groupings, everything tied from food security to then formal active transportation to then climate action and more. So I'm happy to give a future update. Our next meeting is next Thursday at 5:30, and then we'll dig a bit more deeper, but you'll probably find that we'll be communicating out, as Ms. Cook put in, the scope of some working groups or subcommittees, that group actually tackling a lot of that broad mandate through working groups.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other items on the circulation list? Councillor Corser.
Yes, also on the same topic, the Arts Advisory Committee, newer committee, and it took a bit to get our legs underneath of us, but now we are running very quickly. I just wanted to ask staff, because we are now, our meetings were mandated to be every other month because of different issues, but now that we are actively working with economic and creative development, we've got some very full agendas, and working with the consulting firm Massive Art to develop the new cultural plan for the city of Barrie. Our meetings, I believe, I can get confirmation that our meetings are going to be going to monthly as opposed to every other month now, just because of the constraints of time.
Through your, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Corser, we have just recruited a new legislative coordinator in the Legislative Services Department. And so we will be moving some of the meetings back to monthly, especially to try and manage and balance the agenda so that they're not too full and too long for members of the public, because we know that they have time constraints as well.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll be real quick. It's C9 of the circulation list. It's the letter, just to let people know that we've sent a letter to the provincial government in regards to the lights and stuff with the cameras. And that was initiated by Councillor Gary Harvey and a few other members. And then on top of it, we had a letter from another municipality that Councillor Corser was working on. So I just wanted to give credit to those two for the correspondence to our other levels of government and making it a Barrie thing and not a letter writing campaign. So I think it's great that it's coming from us and it's correspondence in the right way. So good work.
Wonderful. Any other items on the circulation list? Seeing none, I will consider the meeting adjourned at 9:11 p.m. on the 28th of February.
That was the update from the February 28th meeting. Please check out our March 2nd video for more updates from the same meeting. Thank you for watching.